Hi, I'm Clara, and this is the Practice with Clara podcast, where we go into yoga philosophy and how it makes your life better. Subscribe to the podcast. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the podcast. You're sitting with Clara and my co-host, Steph. And then today we have a very special treat, Andrea Freeman from New York, who's a mindful business coach. And we thought, since so many of our listeners are also business owners, that we would have a live coaching session with Andrea. So Andrea, thank you so much for being on the show and welcome to the Practice with Clara.
Here. Thank you so much for having me.
And thanks so much for for making the time. And so, yeah, we thought we'd get right into it. We'd have Andrea kind of go over what it is, helping me with being a better business owner. And Steph is on here as well because Steph is our full-time employee and has been with us since the beginning. So we wanted to talk about expansion and how to grow and how to move from here. So Andrea, take it away, sister.
Awesome. So super excited to be here with you guys. And this is what I love doing. I love helping creative female entrepreneurs to build mindful businesses that work for all parts of their lives so that they can really thrive in their business and in their life. So I am happy to dive in and see what you guys want to work through and just get down to it.
Great.
Cool. Okay. So we just want to start with really an intention here for the session and what you guys have going on in your business and just give a little bit of context. So I think, just for everyone to be on the same page, if you can tell me what's going on business-wise and what you're wanting to look at, that would be great.
Okay, great. So in terms of business, about a year ago, we launched we have an online platform where we have yoga classes and meditation and mantra. And I've been running my own business for about 16 years, but hadn't put it online. I've been doing all live events pretty much. And so my husband and I launched this last year, and then Steph came on board to help us with copy and pretty much everything as startups happen. So Steph came in on January and then became a full-time employee officially. She'd been a contractor before in September. And so where we are right now is we've essentially had a year in, and we've also launched apps. And now we're looking to build and grow our community. We're essentially trying to take it to the next level. So I feel like we're good with operations and we've got a flow going. And now what we're looking for is kind of how do we take the next step? Mm-hmm. And this is like the perfect time of year in terms of reflection for that. So thrilled. And Steph, if you have anything you want to add to that, feel free.
Yeah, I feel like especially in COVID, I feel like the growth has been so fast and unsurmountable. Like before COVID, we were all getting to know each other and how things were going to work. But I think since everything's being pushed online, that's been, kind of a hindrance in some ways, but also a help because we were able to build more of the Practice with Clara apps with more and more people turning to online events and communities. So there's been a lot of challenges and steep learning curves, but I feel like there's also been a lot of kind of silver linings along the last 8 months. It's interesting.
Yeah.
It's fun.
So if I'm hearing you guys correctly, you guys have launched a year ago with your online community, and that seems to be taking off even more because of our current circumstances, and that you're kind of wanting to not only stabilize, but also continue to grow this community, right?
Yes.
And so what's the goal of growing the community? What does that make available for you guys personally and for your businesses?
Great question. So the biggest... I was like, my mind is going in 5 different directions. So let me pull it back in. Can you ask the question again, Andrea?
Yeah.
So I also just had a baby 6 months ago. So let me just say that as well.
That baby brain, it doesn't ever leave. This is here to stay, just so you know.
I was like, I had 5 things and then I was like, whew, and then I was like, okay, Andrea. So this is the other thing that's super real. There's a baby on board.
This is great. And that's like a whole additional layer, right? To why
Yes.
it would be beneficial to stabilize, but in a growth space, not stagnate, but to stabilize in a space that can continue to evolve, that feels sustainable, right?
And sustainable is the right word. Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. So is that the goal? You want this to feel sustainable?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Great.
And so the idea is that we want to grow. Thank you. We want to grow, but like, practice with Clara, the site is me, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I create all the content, but I'm also like a new mom. So one of our learning curves that Steph's kind of talking about is like trying to find the right balance between me shooting content and like taking care of the baby and doing all that, and then my husband Alejandro and Steph do a lot of the back end in order to kind of like the operations, having everything kind of moving forward. So we're like still working on the balance of how to grow, but also make it in a sustainable way, because there's only a certain amount of hours in the day. And
Okay. And I know that before we started recording, we were chatting a little bit, and you were saying time management, sales, and delegation seem to be the three areas that you guys are wanting to focus, right?
yes,
Okay.
I mean, and the biggest thing I would say, it has always been, for me, is because generally I was doing this by myself. So I did every single thing. And so I would work, 7 days a week, many, many hours. And I have a very good work ethic, but now I just don't have that much time, because I want to be taking care of my little ones. So I need to get better at, delegating what needs to be done. Because my first initial response to everything is like, I'll do it. Right. But then it doesn't get done, as Steph will definitely say to that. And so how do I step back and like understand, okay, I don't need to do everything. And, like, what are some tools to be able to delegate, I guess, would be a
Got
good
it.
one.
Yeah. Yeah. I think if we really, because each of these is so big on its own, but if
Yeah.
we look at delegation, that will kind of spill over into the other two and affect like if you're empowered in your delegation house, let's say,
Yes.
if that's like an astrological house, then you are going to see growth and you're going to see movement in all the other spaces. So let's just focus on that for this session and, see what opens up. So when you think about delegating in your business, what is there for you? How does that feel for you? What does it look like right now?
I would say that it's definitely hard for me because I'm a control freak. And also, again, because I am the brand and because it is the thing that I've been doing myself for so long, that I feel like I have a hard time like letting go of. The biggest thing is I have a hard time letting go of all the tasks that need to be done, specifically when it comes to branding or the look or the feel. And so what I've been working with more of is like learning how to trust and to soften into it.
Because what might happen if you let go?
Then I might not get the product that I'm looking for.
Okay. And what would that mean?
That would mean that I would let my community down.
And what would that mean?
And that would mean that I would be disappointed.
Okay. And what would happen if you're disappointed?
What would happen if I was disappointed? I don't know if this goes off, but the first thing that shows up around that is that I would not be like living my potential or offering the greatest gift that I can give.
Yeah. You wouldn't be self-expressed.
Yes, self-expressed. Right? Thank you.
Great. So just sit with that feeling, because this is often what we are trying to avoid when we are managing everything ourselves and trying to make it, to our standard, not necessarily perfect, but to our standard, right? We know what we want. We have the vision. It would take longer to explain it to someone else than to just do it myself. We're just in that space, right? Yes. And it's a very like mind racy kind of logical and analytical place to be coming from. There's not a lot of freedom for just being in our business, right?
Yes.
And as a result, the energy starts to get a little stagnant. We start to feel a little stifled. We start to feel like maybe something's a little bit off and we're not quite sure what it is because we're just tending to so many things. And if I just get this one little thing and this one little thing, and those little things stack up and stack
Oh my
up, right?
gosh.
So and if it makes sense for you to do so, you close your eyes and just be with that feeling of things piling up. It doesn't, feel like I can go to anybody else because I've been doing it for so long. I'm the brand. Not sure anybody can do it exactly the way I want. And I can do it so quickly anyway. Oh, but now this other thing. Oh, now I have to do that thing too.
And then it's midnight.
Right? Exactly. So tell me about that feeling. What's there for you? Like physically.
It almost feels like I'm running to catch up, and it's like my heart is beating faster, and there's like a kind of feeling around it.
Like a breathlessness.
Yes, breathlessness, exactly. Thank you.
And we can only be in our businesses for so long without breathing. Right?
Yes.
Right? We can go without a lot of things for quite some time, actually. We can skip meals. We can not exercise for a few days, but we can go just moments without breathing. So to be breathless in our business,
Yes.
it's like our business is literally suffocating us, right?
Yes.
And this starts to feel like a little bit like we're at the effect of our business, or our business is running us and we're not running it, right?
Yes.
And then we're starting to seep into all of this stuff. Like, I'm very capable. I can't let my business run. So then we try to like muscle up, right? All right,
Yes.
I can figure this out. So this kind of thinking, this more like muscling up, this more doing, it's going to keep us spinning our wheels. It's going to keep us going in that same direction. So if we just sit with this feeling, this breathlessness, this, almost like inability to reach out for the support. And if you can just look back for yourself and see, when is the first time in your life, follow it back like a thread in time or a railroad track. When is the first time in your life that you remember feeling this breathlessness, this inability to reach out and ask for the support that you need?
Wow, I think I'm like 6 or 7 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And the memory that's coming, we'll see whether or not it's relevant, but the memory is coming is that I'm at school and I'm telling everybody how great my dad is, and that my dad says this and my dad says that, and they're telling me, stop, like, all you do is talk about your dad. And it was just having done some work around this with my therapist, this is like a large part of me being like, I'm okay, I can do everything myself, like I'm independent, like I have a guide who's teaching me, and then I'm able to do it on my own. And I think I'm 6 or 7.
Okay, so stay with
this
the
point.
6-year-old
Yeah.
and how she feels when her friends are like, you're always talking about your dad. What happened right there?
Yeah, it's a feeling of disappointment and a lack of support that I can't be myself.
I can't be myself. Okay. Great.
Mm-hmm.
And so is that something you said to yourself in that moment, or what exactly?
Yeah, I think just kind of reflecting on it right now is like I would say like one of my beliefs is that I can't depend on anybody and I need to do it myself. And maybe just kind of riffing off of this of this memory is that because I was made fun of having support, that maybe I pushed it away and said I could do it on my own.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So here's what I'm getting, and just tell me if this
Great.
feels like, it resonates for you. You're there with this community of friends that you are like so excited to share this thing, right? Your dad is awesome, and you're like, he's amazing. Listen to this. He does this. He does this. And they're like, whoa, tone it down, right? Like,
Yeah.
you're just going on and on. We don't need to hear that much about him. And in that moment, you're like, I can't be myself. It's not safe. I might not be accepted.
Yes.
Right? Right? I might not fit in. Something like that. Like how a 6-year-old would say it, right? Like, because like this kind of gets into a little bit of those foundational decisions and our kind of subconscious mind, where we go and then are operating from, and we're taking that forward. And it is in loving kindness that we put together this barrier of like wanting to be accepted by our community, and then we
Yes.
go forward for the rest of our lives kind of censoring ourselves so that we can feel that acceptance, right? And
Yes.
often how this can show up is a little bit of perfectionism and needing to do everything ourselves.
Absolutely.
Yes. So this is perfect. And I really, truly believe that our strength for our business and for all parts of our lives really comes from turning inward, seeing our uniqueness and letting that really shine, right? And we can
Yes.
only do that by looking at the parts that we love and the parts that we need to heal. Today we're looking at a healing part. And this will give you, so much traction, right? So that 6-year-old, if we could just hang out with her for just a little bit longer, and we could bring to that situation with the friends around. Were you on the playground? Were you in the classroom? Where were you?
I was in the locker room.
In the locker room. Okay. So, you're in that space and there's like no adults around, right? Is there an
Yes.
adult around, right?
No.
It's just kids.
Yeah.
If we could bring someone into that space, if it is a superhero or a favorite relative or a higher, more advanced version of yourself, bring that person into the space with that 6-year-old version of you.
Mm-hmm.
And when they're there, tell me who it is.
It's the older version of me.
Okay. So what is she going to tell this 6-year-old who just wants to fit in and be accepted about how this is going and what it means? Not what she thinks it means, but what it means.
Well, I think the first thing that shows up is, or I wish I had known then, is that a lot of times when people say things out of defense, it's because it's reflecting something back to them that they're uncomfortable with. And so for my friends, right, it was uncomfortable because maybe they didn't feel the same way about their parents or what have you, or, and so to understand that this is coming from a place of pain or discomfort, and to understand or recognize that it's not ours, and that we can be proud of, whatever it is that we want to be proud of. And in this moment, it is our father, or, our father. And so to allow that, not necessarily to wash away, but like to not take it on.
Yeah.
And to sit with, like, it's okay that I feel this way, and it's okay that they feel this way. And, I don't have to take it on, but I did want to be so accepted, so.
Yeah. And this is not to erase that 6-year-old's feelings were hurt.
Yes.
And there was a lot of disappointment and probably sadness, and that's okay for it to be there. I think that often when we do this kind of deep work, that there is a tendency to kind of sugarcoat or need to make everything positive. It's
Yes.
okay for the two things to be in the space, for there to be
Yes.
sadness and disappointment, and to have that elevated perspective that a 6-year-old didn't quite honestly probably have the capacity to grasp, that an adult would have needed to say, that's other people's reaction, and that's not about you. That's not your stuff.
Yeah.
That's their emotional work to deal with, right?
Yes.
So, but we don't know that, right? So we bring it forward. We bring
It's
forward
true.
this, like, I want to belong. I want to make people happy. I want people to feel like part of this community. This whole thing, right? And we're trying to get it right, and that's a lot of efforting. So, how can we then have space for this 6-year-old now in this business who wants to belong and wants to experience being part of community and being accepted, and also safely understand the boundaries, and that it's safe to show up just for the desire to experience showing up fully as myself.
Right.
Like, what would that place, being in that place, make available now in this business?
I'm just processing what you said.
Yes, it was.
And so essentially the question is of how can essentially all aspects of myself kind of arrive and be accepted in this moment or in this business.
Mm-hmm.
The first thing that shows up, or what's showing up in this moment, is the that it's okay to depend on other people and be excited about others, and also to be I don't know if that's where it's going. I think I'm overthinking it now. Let's see. I don't know, Andrea. Maybe can you ask it again, or maybe?
Yeah. So there might be some other work to do with this, right? This is really, really deep. And this is the thing. This is the beauty about this kind of work that, I have so very often, when it comes to people being visible in their business, whether that's marketing or sales, where we eventually at some point run up into some block about safety, about
Yes.
being seen, right? And so this part of ourselves, we can also do some other work, there's maybe some other work to do kind of offline, right? Where we can really lean more into honoring and nurturing those feelings of that 6-year-old.
Yes.
And so I'll just throw this out there.
Yes.
You might have your own practice, but if that looks like writing a letter to that 6-year-old from that higher version of yourself and letting her know that it's okay, right?
Yes.
And also, it might mean writing a letter to some of the adults who maybe should have been in that space. Like, there can be a lot of feelings, right, that you kind of need to deal with.
Yes.
And to write it and not judge it and let it just flow out of you, because when we are keeping those feelings inside, it just gets all messy, right? It gets messy in a lot of areas of our life, not just in our businesses. So I would express that. And then I would do some sort of practice when you're ready, whether, if you meditate with it to just really feel it. And when you're ready to release it, whether that looks like you are, burning it in a fire, or sending it to the moon. I don't know, just send it out there in the world in some way. Some people bury it, some people, there's all kinds of ways to do it. I love to do the fire because I think that's a real release. And then, we've really processed, we've really felt those feelings. I feel like we're maybe a little bit under a time constraint right now to really do all of this. So there's that piece of it. And then when you've felt all of those feelings, we can bring that 6-year-old into this business, and it is okay to honor and express how she would want to be seen, which is because if she hadn't made that decision
Yes.
about wanting to be accepted, you went into that conversation fully who you were,
Yes.
right? And in that moment made a decision that you needed to be some other way, and then continued on the road, right? So
Yes.
if we can bring that version of you that is okay to be you, like warts and all,
Right.
to your
Yes.
business, and give yourself space. Now, this isn't about like trying to put a Band-Aid on top or show up, some other way that's like not on brand, but just room for it to be however it is, right?
Yes.
And for there to be like visible like signs of growth and development and all of that, because that makes more available to your audience that's okay, that it doesn't have to be such a polished veneer, right?
Yes. Yes.
And that it's safe for all of that to be in the space, right? Because when it's safe
Yes.
for you, it's safe for everybody.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So now, as far as how this is like showing up with delegating, there's another side of it, that when you are not feeling that it's safe to delegate, you're also not letting others show up as fully as they can in their own special and unique way, that they're clearly put here to support you.
Yes.
And you're just like holding them a little bit at arm's length, right? Like, I got it. You guys just hang out over there. I'm going to do this. So we can develop a practice. And I look at all businesses as really a practice.
Yes.
And a development and an evolution and an unfolding of getting more comfortable with letting yourself be supported and with letting other people show up as the fullest, most authentic version of themselves.
Yes.
Right? But your access to being fully self-expressed and being visible and being seen in your business is actually empowering other people to be there for you.
Yes.
Does that feel like...
That feels great.
Okay, awesome.
That feels really good.
It's like, heck yes. So let's just figure out like a little bit of a structure. So there's like all the feeling side, and that's great to figure out what the next thing is to do. And then I think it's really helpful for it to have some structure to it, some way that we're going to keep it alive, right?
Yes.
So I think that this might be where you and Stephanie can really look at, what would that really look like?
Yes.
Like, what are you most excited to accept support about? And Stephanie, what are you most excited to express in this business? So let's start, Clara. What are you most excited to accept support with?
I'm most excited to accept support with, the biggest thing is to create and brainstorm to make the next step really awesome and exciting, not only for our community, but for us, like for us behind the scenes, like for our team is what I would say. Yeah, I feel like my biggest vision is that I want to not only inspire those that we are serving, to be the best that they can be, but also for us to be the best that we can be, and for our community, our team to feel like a family, and then for that to spill out into our community, that we, even though we're online, that we feel like a family.
Okay.
And so
So
I
what
went
would
really
that
big.
look like? That's, that's
I
what
went
would
really
that
big.
look like? That's really, really big. Like, how will we know
I'm
we're
looking at
achieving
Andrea and I'm
that
like,
goal?
I went really big. You're like
No,
asking for, okay.
it's really good. It's really good. And I think that when we have a big vision, it's really helpful to then kind of reverse engineer
Thank you.
so that we can make it measurable. When our goals are measurable, it takes a lot of the emotion out of it, and it's going to
Yes.
help you guys determine whether you're like hitting the mark or not.
Yes.
So what would that look like
Okay.
as far
So
as something that could be measurable? There's your experience. I want you guys to have
Yes.
your experience.
Yeah. No, I love
And
that.
if you don't have like a really defined core values of what you want your experience to be like, just being in your business, I would highly suggest doing that work to just
Yeah.
have like a little blurb or a bulleted list of like what your core values are, what your business is about as far as being in your business. What your business is about for others is a whole other thing. There might be
Yes.
some overlap, but it's good to have that defined.
Yes,
But
we have that defined.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
How will you know that you are allowing yourself to be supported in your
Yes.
creative brainstorming and creating this big vision that you have for your business?
Great. So, it would be more on like the day-to-day things. So the biggest ways in terms of like actionable items would be like, and the biggest things that Steph supports with is like writing most of the copy, helping with like the social media schedule, and kind of keeping me. The biggest thing is helping keep me on track because I am a visionary and I kind of go off and I'm like thinking big and like Steph's like, it's Friday, like we're expecting some of those action items done. So helping me stay on track and kind of tethering me back into the day to day is really helpful because I'm not a goldfish, but like a little puppy where I'm like, oh, squirrel here, tree here. And then I just, all of a sudden I'm doing, I'm making the playlist or I'm working on the blog or doing whatever, but it's hard for me to stay, like I have to write lists out in order to kind of stay anchored. If not, then I just kind of do it all over the board. So the biggest way to support me is to hold me accountable, which Steph has been really good at recently. And then to help me kind of stay on track, because if not, because I'm so used to working alone, I just kind of do things when I remember to do them,
So you guys probably would really benefit from a structured schedule for micro and macro projects, probably. Like
Yes.
you want to set up a calendar essentially
Yes.
where you have dates or appointments to check in. And, I put them on a calendar in a really exciting way. It's not like, checking in with the number, like this is like so daunting, but put it in a way that like excites you and calls you to be your, show up in your best version of yourself in that meeting. And you want to do that. If it's not a daily, do you have a daily meeting to kick off your day?
No, we do one a weekly.
Okay. I would do a session each morning, which sounds time consuming, but it's literally like a 10-minute check-in where you each say like your promises for the day.
Yes.
Because that is going to start having you both live in the space of accountability.
Yes.
And if you're someone who can get very easily distracted, and I get it, I am like that big picture thinker, and I definitely need people to be like, excuse me, we said we were doing this today. Like that's also going to help you. And it's going to help Steph because she's going to know, like, she's going to be involved in the big picture as well as the running of the day to day, right? Like it's going to have you guys be more in partnership, more in lockstep, and it's going to build that trust.
Okay. Great. Thank you. That's helpful. We had done that a while back and then we stopped. Yeah.
I know it's not a sexy solution, right? Like it's not.
Well, it's more like all of our days kind of start very differently. So it's like finding the right time for all of us.
It doesn't actually even have to always be, it could be an end of the day meeting where you make your promises for the next day.
Oh, that's a good one.
You know, you can play with it, but I think that it's important. And this is actually the most important time to set up your next day. So if you are going through your day, like you were talking about checklists, like making checklists to ground yourself.
Yes.
I am always running around with like a little capture tool pad thing. I have it all go into one place because I know a lot of people can put it in a million. I would lose track of that so quickly. It's always the same one. And then at the end of the day, dumping that out into my calendar so that my tomorrow is set up for success today.
Yes, that's a good one.
Office until we are on track and knowing what tomorrow is going to look like. Now, that doesn't mean that things don't come up. And I know as a new mom, like things are always going to come up. And you can be flexible and move things around. But you have a plan, and then you also have a teammate who can execute a lot of things as far as, you know, what's due. And then you'll be able to more clearly identify where you just continually are not getting to things. This doesn't seem to be something that I enjoy doing. I thought I wanted to do it, but I'm not really. I keep pushing it off. I keep pushing this one thing off. I'm either not going to do this in my business, and it's okay to say I had an idea, but I'm really, turns out, not that excited about it.
Yes.
Let it go or delegate it. Those are the two choices.
Okay, let it go or delegate. Good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
That was helpful.
Yay. So, what does it look like now, Steph, for you? How does that feel on your side?
Well, great. Like, I just listening to everything, I think some big things that are coming up for me is because I've been practicing with Clara for like 6 years, and up until a year ago, Clara's product was in person. And now you're taking like an in-person identity and you're dispersing it online. And there's a huge shift that occurs, I would think, in like a fear of how you're being presented when you're handing off literally your identity to another person. I totally get that. And I've seen other businesses, as they start growing, it gets too big, and the people who were showing up for the person, you don't feel like it's an authentic community anymore. And it's why, like, I've worked for other companies that were like that. They got to a certain place and it's awesome to build and grow, but then it feels more like a corporation and less of a community, a family, as Claire is saying. Yeah. So it's why I love working with the Practice with Clara team. And I think like my passion is storytelling, and I was teaching yoga full-time before transitioning into this role because I don't like being visible. I would much rather be behind the scenes, spreading the message in more subtle ways and promoting. Like, Clara was my voice as a teacher. She trained me. So now I get to do what I love, but in a less overt way. And that's more suitable to my personality. So it's a great match. It's just like, I personally feel it's trust, because if I were in Clara's position, I would be hesitant for so many reasons. And like taking my voice that was in a room with hundreds of people to the internet with thousands of people, that's a massive transition to make in just a year, not even a year, in my opinion. Like, it's been 8-9 months.
Yeah.
And I think another thing that it's been fun trying and is like where our community has landed. Like, is it Facebook? Is it podcast? Is it Instagram? Is it our the Practice with Clara app? Like, figuring out where our people live and where they want to go and be a part of the family is, I think, what we've been trying out for the last 8 months.
Totally.
And it's just figuring out like where, for me, it's like, where is Clara's voice best? Like, where is she able to stand on a mountain and it to just like ripple through the valley for people to hear her? Because she has such gems of knowledge. Like, I just want to like blow butterflies at people. Like, here she is.
Oh,
but where are our people?
That's amazing.
Of course. That's why I love working with you.
I am so loving what I'm hearing. This is the perfect recipe for partnership. And for each of you to be able to amplify the other in a way, right? To allow her to to, I mean, she's a wordsmith. Did we just hear all of that beautiful messaging? Like, she's gonna make you sound good. You already sound good. She's gonna make you sound better, right? Like,
It's true. It's true.
And she's gonna get that message out there when you're tired, and when you need to be able to be free to be a mom, and when you don't have the time because you need to be able to think about the bigger vision. So it's just a matter of like giving it some structure for what you want it to look like. Go back to your data, look at where people are resonating the most, go deep in one area, master one area, like nail that voice in that space, and then pick another, right? Like, we don't have to eat the whole whale in one bite. We're just going to pick like one specific focus area, whether that's for a quarter, whether that's for a whole year, and then reassess. Like, just whatever feels right for you guys, set up a structure for where you want to go deep and when you're going to check in about it again.
Yes.
And what it looks like to actually go deep. Does that mean we're doing one blog post? Does that mean you're really leaning more on the podcast? Is that more on the online platform? Like, figure out that space, because I think you're trying to funnel people to this community. So where are you having the most impact, and where can you amplify that? That's the first goal.
Yes, because I think what's been happening, my husband was just saying this, is that we've dug a lot of holes, but we're not getting a well right now, and we've like really spread ourselves. That's literally like what we're going to be assessing in the next couple of weeks, is like, where are we really making the most impact, and like, let's put our energy towards there. Because I mean, we started this podcast because COVID happened and we were missing community, and we wanted to literally talk to our community. So that's how this started. But like, now this is taking quite a bit of time, and we still have the content and the blog and and so Alejandro has literally been saying like, we need to kind of narrow in. So I love that you're also.
This is a common mistake. And I want to say it's a mistake because there's a lot of learning, because when you go back and you look at the data, not how you feel about all of the things that you're doing, but when you look at the data, you look at the engagement, you look at where your audience is growing, you are going to be able to see where you should focus.
Yes. Okay.
It's there. The information, the decision, the guidance is always in the data, when you are also lining that up with your intuition, what's feeling right. When those two things come together, if you look at the data and you're like, boy, that is not the thing I want to do, I'd be really surprised if it was the thing you don't want to do. Because where you're showing up in your most authentic form, your most creative and self-expressed, is usually where people are going to be resonating with you most.
Yes, I agree.
So, but look at the data so that it takes it out of just like a feeling that you're having. And then, just go deep. It made a huge difference in my business when I ran my event planning business, when I stopped doing the things that I thought I should be doing and only focused on the things that were in complete alignment with my purpose and who I really, really am. And that is what led me to be a business coach. That is what I love to bring to entrepreneurs who are trying to scale, who are trying to build the bigger vision, because you do want to go deep. That's the thing. When you're really concerned with building community, when that's your passion, it's because you like going deep with people. So you have to just focus in that space. And you will eventually have a lot of different kind of iterations of that community. You'll have your people who like being on Facebook. You'll have your people who want to see you on YouTube. You'll have your people who want to listen to you on your podcast. You'll have all of those things. It's just a matter of getting them to the point of sustainability, getting them to the point where you guys feel like you have the systems and structures in place to have it be manageable, and then you can go on to another thing.
You're speaking my husband's language.
Well, see, he's here. He's here.
He is. I was like, it's so awesome. That's so awesome. Thank you, Andrea. It's like, so, yeah. And it is. It feels like sometimes it's overwhelming and you want to go in so many different directions and you're like, which way is the right way? And I think just checking out where people are responding is a wonderful kind of way to move forward. Because sometimes, if we just move on emotion, then I feel like there's more reason for doubt, which I feel like can be a very large hindrance when running a business, when doubt
Yeah.
comes into play.
Yeah, and none of this that we just said negates the stuff that we were talking about doing with like the 6-year-old self and kind of
Yes.
resolving those emotions, because you're gonna have to show up wherever you decide to go deep. You're gonna have to show up, and so you have to kind of process all of that to be able to go deep, to really be able to go, and for it to not feel like a lot of work. You'll be able to go live without having to do, like a lot of prep work. You'll feel comfortable in your voice, in your skin, to show up and do the work that there is to do to get the message out there, because you've processed all of that.
Yes, and this is something that Steph and I and Alejandro all feel is like you can't just. It's not just one aspect of your life. All aspects of your life ripple out into all aspects of your life. And so I wasn't expecting when we sat down to have a conversation with my 6-year-old self. I mean, I love her. I talk to her a lot with my therapist. So it's awesome to also bring her into the business forum, because she's an aspect of me, and we are the business. So to be mindful and aware of like what we're showing up with, and to have done, like you said, the work and the processing, allows us to go and excel further, and especially when building community, right? Because a large part, and be interesting, I actually wanted to ask you this afterwards, in terms of using the word mindful in your title, right? It's like, this is what we do. Like, our whole thing is to be mindful and to ask the bigger questions of ourselves, so that we can show up being the best humans in whatever hat we're wearing that day. And so I'd love you to share maybe your a bit of your journey with us, in terms of like how, because most people don't say mindful business coach, they would be a business coach. And so would you mind sharing a little bit of where that showed up for you?
Yeah. So I have found I was always into personal development. It was something, I grew up in one of those families where mom took us all to family therapy at a very young age. And so processing my emotions was like not something that ever seemed like scary or that you shouldn't do. I was always open to it. But for me, when I really launched out into business, and I've had a number of different businesses, starting at 12 years old with the babysitting, which is, not the most successful operation. But then, going to culinary school, starting a catering company, becoming an event planner, now transitioning, into business coaching. It has always been something that it was like something I was doing over there, right? And I was trying to be in my business and use what I'd learned about myself over there, but just focus on business, like strategy. It was a lot of doing, a lot of like taking courses, working with coaches, all of that kind of stuff. But I just finally got really, really clear after I became a mother that I didn't have space for anything that wasn't truly me. And so that meant I had to get really, really clear about who I was and who I was now, not who I was when I started my business, not who I, not at any other point. And to kind of become adept at always checking in with myself about who I am and what's resonating for me and what version of, is my best self, and how to bring that version of me to my business. Because when I started kind of just, I really took like a machete to my business in a lot of ways. And I started cutting services that were industry standards and that I thought I should be offering, and just really trued up to what was in alignment for me with my like purpose that really goes far beyond my business, like what I really feel like I'm here to offer on the planet. And I have been able to then carry that forward from business to business. And so I think that there is like this kind of first part of the process. I use this method that I call the host method. It's like my kind of proprietary methodology, where people kind of dig into the H is for honoring your why, the O is owning who you truly are, the S is shifting your perspective, whatever those practices are or things that you need to do to clear away those limiting beliefs, and then to take inspired action. So in going through that cycle, I was able to create a business that worked for my life, that had a
Yes.
farther reach, that had much more impact. And now I'm not only doing that, I've moved on past events, and now I'm being able to bring that to other people in their businesses. And I love that. Business to business conversations light me up. I think that there's so many parts of ourselves that we can access when we dive into who we're being in our business, and
Yes.
that creates so much room for us to just learn who we are, to make a bigger impact in the world, to make more money, to have our life be more sustainable, to just have everything be more in flow. And so that is what lights me up, is having these conversations with business owners. That's just like, I could talk about this stuff all day. Is our time up? Because I feel like we're just getting started.
We are just getting started.
But I joke around that, people can really let their personal evolution fuel their business revolution, because there's a lot of access to where you can be most powerful in your business when you look at what's making you tick, what's going on. It's not logical to think that I'm not wanting to market my business, or I'm a little bit scared to show up because of something that happened when I was 6 years old.
Yes.
Right? And so we could spend a lot of time, on the couch, and therapy is great. It's really, really great. And I've done a lot of it. When you have somebody who's focused on bringing it together with a business, when you have somebody who understands that work is valuable, and that looking at the prosperity and the function and the sustainability doesn't only demand on how you're building your sales funnel, and it helps you choose the strategies that are right for you, because you've really looked at all facets of yourself. So I think, and this may be strong words, but I think that it's hard to be profitable and to be successful if you're not bringing all of yourself to your business.
I agree.
Yeah. Okay.
The other thing in that is, because especially right now, our industry is so saturated. If you're not showing up in a way that's unique to you because of your authenticity, everyone's doing the same thing. Like, there's so much online exercise and yoga available to people right now. And there's a lot of different tactics used to get attention. I was just having this conversation with my sister. That genuine demeanor is going to draw people in, because it will be unique. It won't feel like the same pitch that, a lot of other people are doing.
Yeah, it is exactly how your ideal customer or client recognizes that you're for them.
Yes.
When you're being fully yourself. So we can wake up and we can put the mask on, and that'll attract, a certain level of audience, but it won't be the one that feels like really, really good inside. And that's what it's all about. It's all about having a business that feels as good as it looks.
Yes. Yes.
Because at the end of the day, it's about how you can, what makes you go to bed easy at night, right?
Yeah. And what makes you feel like you have purpose, and that you are serving from your highest place. Mm-hmm. For me, that's like the way that I think about it, is that I feel like I'm offering something that is true, that is real for me. And it may resonate or may not, depending upon, like you said, the person or the client. Yeah. That was awesome. That was so inspiring. Yes. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Whoa. I love this. Personal evolution for your business revolution. Or did I do it the other way around?
Let your personal evolution fuel your business revolution.
Yes. I love that.
Bumper stickers.
I love that. Yeah, I know. I was like, where do I get that sticker? I'm in. I was like, better put that on a Post-it in my bathroom when I'm brushing my teeth.
Oh my gosh. Yes. please carry the message far and wide, because we just need more of that in business, right? I think that especially now, the other thing that's happening is that not only have we had time to be home and gain clarity about who we are and what lights us up, but so is the market. You know, everyone is home thinking about what resonates for them, what makes them tick, and what they value. So I think it's more important than ever to show up in our truest, most authentic version of ourselves, because people are really shopping for that. People are really searching for that.
Yes.
So I think that's the future of, you know, of marketing, really, at least for the next year. Yeah. So
thank you so much for taking the time, Andrea. Where can people find you? This was amazing. Tell us about what you're up to these days?
Yeah, so I've got a couple of things going on. I actually just turned 40 this year, and so
me too.
Woohoo! I feel like set free, you know, by this milestone birthday. I'm like super jazzed about it. So I'm celebrating, and I'm actually doing 40 free coaching sessions. So if anyone is interested in that, you know, obviously we can talk about working together if that feels right for you. But if anyone's interested in that, you can go over to my Instagram has the portal to be able to get to my online scheduler and book a session. Great. So, and I'm doing those before January 9th. So chop.
Perfect. Yes. So Andrea's going to give us all the information right now, but also know that we'll have it all written out wherever you're listening to the podcast. We'll have it in the write-up so you're able to get to the link. But Andrea, tell us everything. Keep going, sister.
So there's those sessions, but there's also like a really great, I am also very much about community. So if you want to be part of a community of creative, entrepreneurial women and be supported and feel like you have a tribe, I have a Facebook group, and that is called the Up Level Collective. And hopefully you guys can see Clara there also.
I'll be there. I'm joining.
I love it. Yeah. So you know how that works. It's facebook.com/groups/Up Level Collective, all one word.
Beautiful.
Up Level Collective.
Love the name.
Yeah.
Love the name. Yes. So thank you so much, Andrea, for taking the time and for diving in and for giving our listeners a sense of like, what does a coaching session look like? Also for me, that was amazing.
Awesome.
and so thankful. I took away so many great tools from that. And I'm excited to join the group and yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm excited to see where you guys go with this. Absolutely.
Us too. Thank you so much. And Steph, always a pleasure to sit with you and to work with you. I'm so happy that we're about to actually close a year of working together, and it's been a joy. We've really appreciated having you on the team. So thank you.
Thank you for saying that.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Those of us listening to the podcast, we'll see you next time. Thank you for joining us today on the podcast. Today's podcast was brought to you by the Practice with Clara app. That's mine. I've created almost 100 yoga classes for you to do at home or on the go. And they're available to you on your favorite device, including mobile, desktop, and TV. These classes include vinyasa, slow flow, hatha, restorative, yin, mantra, meditation. I also just had a baby, so I created prenatal yoga for all 4 trimesters. So head over to ClaraRobertsoss.com/join to learn more. Or search for the Practice with Clara app at your favorite app store. There's a 7-day free trial, so no commitment. And make sure to subscribe to the podcast. We've got lots of good stuff in store for you. Until next time, namaste.